Wonderful. So thank you for being with us, those of you who are visitors. We typically ask, so that you know, typically ask what people want us to cover. So if you don't mind, a few brave souls share thoughts that are on your heart, weighing on you, or things you want to learn about or know about, please throw out a couple of key words.
Embodying the Divine Father.
Peace as the goal.
Quantum entanglement.
Say that one again?
Quantum entanglement.
Quantum, got it. And
Change. Peace as the goal.
Staying unified with the presence. Mistakes.
Outreach activities were called upon to share.
okay. Not just diverse topics today, lots of very deep topics. You know, those of you who might have missed last week, we talked about something we called SoulLevel Emotions. And this was all apropos because the world is changing in so many ways. But it's kind of interesting to me because you're using the words such as quantum concepts, okay? The world is changing. I mean, there's the linear way the world is changing, which certainly doesn't look good. Things are just so bizarre, so crazy, but why would you expect anything different in a world of craziness? This world can only produce of itself. God produces of itself. God is light and love, produces love and light. This world is ego-based. It's been hijacked by the ego. So all it can really produce is fear. Fear thoughts, creating a fear-based world. God thoughts, creating a love-based world. You have to decide which one you want to align with, each of us. The world can't really tell you the best choice of those two because it only supports itself. And God equally only supports itself. So God has nothing to do with the illusionary world, doesn't curse it, but doesn't bless it because it isn't real to God. But the ego-based world is also looking at it saying there's no God world. They deny each other. But one of them's right. When God says that world you're creating isn't real, it's correct. When the ego says, oh, the spiritual world isn't real, it is incorrect. Because the ego can only ever continue to be wrong. Because it isn't sane. It's fear-based. And so we talked about soul-level emotions, meaning the world, on one level, the world is doing its thing and just devouring itself. Some years it doesn't look like it's doing it as much as others, but it's always just devouring itself. You know, the Native American tradition says, once upon a time, speaking of Lemuria and Atlantis and ancient civilizations, Native tradition says, once upon a time, God reached down, which really isn't God per se, but that's how it appears. God reached down with one hand and shook the earth and ended one race. Later, God reached with the other hand and shook the earth, and that ended the other race. God is now taking both hands and gripping the earth and shaking it soon. That's what's coming to this world. God is saying, wake up. What that looks like is all kinds of natural disasters and so forth. But that isn't God punishing, really. But that's the way people once looked at it. It's God doing. This is ourselves mirroring to ourselves. You know, haven't you ever had one of those mornings where you're struggling to wake up and you have to do a little more asserting of yourself? That's it. I got to get out of bed. Well, that's kind of what we're going to do. We have to be a little firmer. Hey, wake up. Let's go. You know, the shower and whatever to kind of, you know, stimulate some blood flow and got to wake up. And that's where we're at. We're just lulled in such a sleep, such an illusionary way of life that we're needing a little more drastic measures to wake up. All that said, on another level, those who are living closest to God, really humbly and truly and devoutly, and I'm not talking like religion, I'm talking about spiritual intention, they're waking up and something's happening, but yet there's not a lot of teachers that know about it and it can explain it. Because the old way, even spiritual, not religious, spiritual teachers and so forth, there was a way that everybody was used to doing this. You write a book, hope it becomes a bestseller, go on tour and talk about it. And those were the spiritual teachers. They didn't really offer that much more, other, a little cute something here and there, a little fancy something, something that catches on, buzz phrases happen from your book, and, you're kind of excited. But what's happening with that? Where are they? They're kind of not knowing what to do, so they're not out there as much. And the ones that are out there are sort of internet made. They're not even integrated teachers. They're just fads. And I've said this years ago. The students are going to become the teachers. The teachers are starting to fail the students, and the students are going to become the teachers. Students not meaning a level as much as it sounds, as simply meaning those who are sincerely on the path. Those who preach it aren't really getting it. They only could take you so far. They write one decent paragraph every 10 pages, and people call it a great book. How was that ever a good idea? Every paragraph should have been clear, sharp, profound. Every paragraph. Just like, to me, musicians and their lyrics. You shouldn't be blah, blah, blah throughout a whole song and maybe sneak one profound word in there somewhere. Everything we do can be profoundly deep because we're profoundly deep people. But if you don't remember that, then good enough is good enough. Just another song, another, that cookie cutter kind of thing. Well, that's all coming to an end. So beings are starting to feel soul level emotions, but there's nobody explaining this to them. So we covered that last week, but it's soul level emotions, not human emotions of the lower three chakras, not divine feelings of the upper three chakras. This is the heart, where the heart is opening in people. And unfortunately, it's not happening where there's teachers that are profoundly of this level teaching it. They're talking about it, but it's just words. You don't become heart-centered because you have a t-shirt that says, I'm heart-centered. You don't become heart-centered because an energy worker took some psychic version of the jaws of life and stuck it in your chest cavity and forced open your heart chakra. You can't be any chakra without having the consciousness of that chakra. You can't be opening your heart chakra if your consciousness isn't opening of the heart level. Same with the root level, the crown level, any other center. You can't. It is not hallucinogenics that open these. Anything you use that's synthetic can only give you a synthetic experience. And I know that's against a lot of people's, trip, Well, it's not real. It's synthetic. I don't care if it's mushrooms, LSD, or whatever you use. It's not real. It's synthetic. You are greater than your acid trips. You are greater than your shrooms. You're greater than your ayahuasca. You're even greater than someone's very cool breathwork meditation. You're actually beyond those things, but we forgot. So we use those to help us along. So do I think those things are bad? I didn't call them that. They're synthetic. If you need a synthetic experience, and many people have had and say, at least it showed me there's more. Good. Now go after the more, not the thing. So now, now I'm going to get all kinds of, emails, Ayahuasca Astral Travelers United, We don't like you, man. We're going to lose money on this conversation you had with your people. Whatever. Google, tell someone who cares. I can only share what I share. This is how it is. And so we're reaching levels that the teachers don't understand. They can only act like they understand. So light workers are going to another level, in a sense. Light workers from any religion, non-religion, this culture, that, there's no definition, gender, whatever. It's light workers. Whoever is saying, you know what, I want to make a difference in the world. And a new faction of light workers, as we're calling Daughters of Heaven. We have that conference coming up in a couple of weeks. The Daughters of Heaven are a faction of light workers. But the Daughters of Heaven aren't, like I've said a few times, They're not saying, how can I make a difference, like a light worker. The daughters of heaven are saying, I'm going to be the difference. I'm going to hold the divine mother's space. I'm going to be the presence of the Holy Spirit or divine mother. See, it's becoming, not just the doings. And so this group actually, and I'll only talk about them for a second, but this group is actually playing an important role because, in a sense, God or the Holy Spirit, the Divine Mother, is calling upon these daughters of heaven, which means souls of God, okay, children of God. These daughters of heaven are being asked to move now into their heart chakras. In other words, it used to be everybody was individually needing to be initiated and gradually awaken these various centers so that we reach opening, complete opening and enlightenment. But something different is happening that's never happened before. And that is the Holy Spirit is saying, we're going to take a group of you and initiate you into your heart centers. And that's why soul level emotions are starting to be felt. Soul level, the word emotion is of a human nature. This is soul level emotions, which are sort of half divine feelings up here and half human emotions. But they are higher and they're more universal. I'm feeling, we're feeling. It's no longer I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm happy. It's I'm feeling our happiness. I'm feeling our sadness. Is that making sense? So something of that nature is taking place. On that note, soul level emotions are actually just one petal on a flower, multi-petaled flower called soul level living. Now, I've talked about sacred living. Sacred living is something that really began in mankind's origins on earth in Lemuria. Sacred living in Lemuria was like Reiki, Taoism, all of that came from the roots in Lemuria, where people lived sacredly. Now, I didn't call it soul level. Sacred living was mankind's attempt to sort of create a something like soul level living, but on the earth plane. So we called it sacred living. And eventually, those arts, the Vedas, Taoism, those belief systems, those arts, those philosophies, Tantra included, they splintered off and eventually became separate practices. And eventually, no practices, but few people here and there. And then we became what we are today. And now people are reading books or having revelations going, I'm learning, a sacred healing art called Reiki. Reiki's part of original sacred living. And I'm learning vibrational medicine. It's part of the Lemurian practice. What was once sacred living became separate practices that are now, we're now coming back to and calling them profound and sacred, right? Oh, there's this sacred thing called Tantra. Whatever. That's nice. But let's get back to sacred living, not secularly, not singled out, not separated living. Is that making sense? I'm glad that people are finding it again, but smile now that you're hearing it. Smile and go, they're all connected. You can't just sacred healing art, sacred vibrational medicine, sacred aromatherapy. Smile and realize all of the sacred arts were once one thing called sacred living. You couldn't have gone to a Lemurian and go, hey, there's this new thing, sacred healing. They would laugh at you like, it's all sacred. It's just everything was so connected. But even sacred living was just a reflection of something greater called soul level living, which now is becoming, we're remembering it as soul level emotions, soul level healing, not just sacred, which is beautiful, but that's still a material version. So that's why people forgot it, because they forgot their souls. They became human beings, physical, emotional, and intellectual beings, lower three chakras. They walked around thinking, emoting, and doing. So they forgot this. But we're going home. And we go from the earth plane to the Edenic soul level plane to God, heaven. So we're all returning to this place of the soul. And there's two primary ways of getting back to sacred living. This isn't a soul level living, rather. Two ways. It's asking God to see as God sees. That will return you here before eventually here. It's also, this is the cool piece. Oh, I want to have soul level. Oh, I heard, for $99.95, I can become a soul level living 101 person. Oh, you're just at level 1. I'm a soul level healing 2. Then somebody else, oh, I'm a master level, soul level. Oh, people have asked me, hey, why don't you do workshop where you, no, I'm not going to do workshops where I teach love level 1. You know what I mean? If you don't feel the love, I can't teach it to you. So people have asked me for decades, why don't you do this? Why don't you make this level 1? No, it's not. It can't be done. And we shouldn't even try, because then you're trying to intellectualize and compartmentalize it. Become nicer. Become more loving. Start there. And then you start to see the oneness of everything. So one way to open the heart, ultimately, how do you leave, God out of that equation? It's got to be, God, show me how you see things, and so on. Okay, that's the first priority. Second priority, if I am not able or willing to see your soul, I will not find my own. Get that? I will not find my own if I ignore yours. I can't sit here going, man, I'm so soul heart-centered. Look at these people. They're just so messed up. They're not like me. That is not going to work. The very thought that I can't see, well, I would be able to see your soul level if you were nicer. You still don't get it. It is my co-creations, co-manufacturings with other people that have pulled a veil over the light of God over everybody that I can't see your soul. I can't see your divinity. I don't namaste till the end of time. Walk up to people namaste, no, and stop. You're not going to see someone's divinity if you can't even feel their soul yet. And you cannot feel their soul while still holding judgments against them. Opinions, not just harsh judgments, even opinions. If I look at you as a male, a female, a black or white, Democrat, Republican, blah, 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 I can't see the real you. Ask God to help you see. Now, yeah, you can drop acid and go, wow, it's working. I'm starting to see somebody. No, you're seeing brain cells dying. That's what you're seeing. It's the death of brain cells. And you're like, this is so cosmic. No. If you could hear it, it would be, ah. It wouldn't be, oh. It would be death toll, like, wow. So no, I can't see your soul when I teach you to behave nicer. I have to see your soul despite the way you behave. Now, that's not easy because people, they're doing what they're doing. It's not easy, so go back to rule number 1. God, I'm going to need some help with this one. Wow. You're listening to this? You can do that. Are you listening? Wow. And God's going to say, I understand. Breathe. Don't react. Just breathe. If you need to leave the room, leave the room. If you need to say no to them, say no to them. Protect yourself, of course. But even while protecting yourself, also affirm there's another way of seeing this person. And if you can't see that in them, believe it or not, they will not be able to see it in themselves. You are activating something they have forgotten. You're lighting their pilot light when you choose to love and forgive. That's immeasurable in terms of its value. Is it easy? No, it isn't. And there's days where you're allowed to say, find someone else to be activating this person because it isn't going to be me today. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to do that. It's totally fine and it's funny. It's okay. But those days, remember, where you feel like you can't see the light in others, you probably want to sit down and say, I'm going to need someone to help me see it in myself. Call on the mother. Not an acid trip. Call on the Divine Mother. Call on the Holy Spirit. And those who say, that Holy Spirit and God and Jesus stuff, that's not real. Anyone, that's government will tell you that. Academics will tell you that. All kinds of people will tell you that. that the spiritual route isn't real, that something material is needed to change the world, whether it's a new president or a new drug or whatever. Anything of the outside world cannot actually deliver you from your inside world, deliver you from the angst we feel internally. We have to heal on the level of our hearts and souls. We have to get out of our brokenness and beliefs that we're separate from each other and from God. We have to find another way of looking at the world. And God's the one that supplies that. The divine mother. Even Jesus says, call on the Comforter. Jesus is promoting your relationship with the Mother, the Holy Spirit. So call on her, it. Call on Jesus if you like. But he's working collaboratively with her anyway. This isn't wait. This prayer, I think, is supposed to go to God, the Father. This one has to go to the Holy Spirit. Wait, this one might be for Jesus. They CC each other. Just shut up and pray. It all works out. It all works out. You know, it's not like Jesus says, oh, junk mail, you know, because it said it was for the Holy Spirit and Jesus got that. It doesn't matter. I mean, if we don't understand that God is one, the Lord thy God is one, then you really don't understand anything. Trust, it's okay. And I would go to God in some form rather than praying, let's say, to your deceased grandmother. I mean, that's nice of you, but I think you could go higher than her. You know, just believe in something more. Create a relationship with something more. But this isn't just a passive thing. I'm going to soul level living. I can tell because I'm starting to feel soul level emotions or feelings. And I can tell because I'm getting downloads of a different nature. This isn't my head talking, something else. It's your soul. Your soul is capable. There's two sides of the soul. There's the core level wounds in here. And there's also core beliefs in who you really are. The side that God downloads its light into. You can't just expect the heart to be glorious. It's glorious pretty much in proportion to how much you've uprooted the things that were in the way. So you can't just go, heart chakra, let's go. It's heart chakra, that's great news. But with the heart chakra is also the dark night of the soul. It's the dark night of the what? The soul. Where's the soul? Here, your heart and soul. Some people are like, oh, I had a vision. This is going to be great. It said, we're going to open your heart. And I'm like, great. Oh, wait for it. Wait for it. Because before you get the glorious heart stuff, and if you do, it'll only be for this amount of time. Because you don't get to open the heart without the heart bringing you your stuff first. I would like to open my heart and soul. And it says, oh, really? Well, we're going to show you your core level beliefs, your core level stuff, your core level issues, core wounds. See, because we think we have, let's say, 20 different issues. Abandonment, I got this happening, and rejection, somebody threw me under the bus, a girlfriend of mine, and so on and on. You think you have 20 things, financial issues. You think you have 20 problems. That's all human. When you get here, it's actually only one or two. Hidden behind my core beliefs are, I'm unlovable, and then everything else happens to confirm it. And you call those your problems. See, the finances and the rejection when your partner was choosing someone and they didn't choose you, those aren't two different issues, finances and I didn't get chosen. They're one. The sense, for example, that I'm unlovable. And that could bring those and many more. When you get to the soul, you stop talking so much about all the stuff out here, fringe items, and you go more to here. You stop talking about others as much, and you go here. Instead of that person annoys me, that person annoys me, that person annoys me. You see, that's 1, 2, 3 people. What happens is I tend to get annoyed. Not you, they. You, as you get into your soul, you have less conversations about this stuff here. But the world doesn't support that, in case that's not already clear. The world doesn't support that. When you're working holistically on a health issue, doctors could have 50 different descriptions called symptoms, and yet, when you deal with holistic health, like Ayurvedic, it narrows it down to a constitutional issue, right? That narrowing down means it's more like a soul level. You're getting closer to the soul level issues. And again, I said Ayurveda and the Vedas themselves are part of our original soul level or sacred living concepts, right? So holistic health counseling also should be bringing people closer and closer to their soul. When you have a counselor or a teacher that doesn't believe in God, why would you go to them? If they can't believe in your deeper self, they're not going to be able to help you very much. Get the best. Go to the best. Go to those who feel plugged into higher, something higher, so that they can help facilitate your walk going higher. And when we carry issues and triggers, with other people, which is normal for human beings. I stand here and I feel like I'm a separate body than you, which means you might be nice to me or you might not be. I have labels for you already. I like you, I don't like you. You're nice to me, you're not. See, because we're separate people, eventually we realize you are me. You are me. You might be reflecting something I don't like about myself. You might be reflecting something I do like about myself. However, if I assign it to you, it's called codependence. Because I have a label for you, and now I've dragged you into my codependence. Why? Because I don't want whatever you mirror to be in me. If it's something I don't like, I definitely don't want it to be in here. I want it to be you. If it's something I like, this is really earth-shattering and sad. Something, a great quality that you either have that I don't, or you give me. You make me feel so valued. That's dangerous. Because you know what it means? If they die, you're not valued anymore. That's codependence. I'm not supposed to be tying anchors to all other human beings. That if they drop into the ocean, I go with them. No. You're showing me lessons I need to learn to heal. I got it. Not you gave it to, I got it, what you were mirroring to me. And you're showing me some nice qualities. Thank you. They're my quality. Thank you. I got it. You're helping me see that I'm lovable, but I'm the one who decides I'm lovable now. You see, if I still make it about as long as you bring me flowers, I'm lovable, and then you stop bringing me flowers, I noticed you're not what I thought you were. I think this relationship's over. It's run its course. You're not what I thought you were. And which is kind of true because you thought they were a savior and they're not. You're the one who has to get it. So thank you for mirroring lessons and I got them. Thank you for mirroring good qualities in myself and I got them. It sounds strange because what I'm essentially saying is everything has to come back to you. Right? Soul level living. I'm finding myself with less conversations about outer because there's no outer. I'm finding myself blaming less, obsessing less on this outer world. I find myself not speaking about if only. If only this happened, if only I got a raise at work, I would feel valued. I am valued. I am. And I'm not saying it like an affirmation, hoping it'll catch on. I know I am. I'm a holy child of God. Start knowing that and affirming that, believing that, programming that new understanding about yourself. And it's all interesting because the more you say, my family, my genetics, my whatever, outer things, here's what you're doing. There's a saying Jesus used, and this is one of the deeper meanings. Judge and you are judged. Here's what that partly means. When you say my genetics are causing me an illness, you just judged your genetics as having power over you, and now you are judged. You see? You judge something as having power, and now it does, which means you're judged as being little. So it's not just a big bad karmic thing. Judge and you will be judged. And you die, you go to the other side. Hi, God. Well, don't give me any hi, man. You're up creek. You judged. And so now the heavy hand of the Lord just squashes you because you judge. That's not what it means. As you judge, you're automatically judged. If I judge you as being the one who holds my work raise, financial, raise, salary raise over me, and you're not giving it to me, and you're bad at it. I made you my source of income, which means I am now a victim of your decisions. I judged you as being up here, which means I'm judged now as being down here. It happens automatically. So shut up. Just stop. Stop the insane conversations. Learn to see it and go, oh, you again. You again. Oh, I can't do this, or my family's genetics, blah, blah, blah. Just stop. I know it's the way it seems, but that's not a soul speaking. Understand what I just said. That's not your soul. Your soul is beyond all that petty individuation of people. My soul starts to I. You can sometimes even say we. We're such a strange race. That's true. I feel strange. That's true. I can't tell you what you are or how you feel. I can only talk about I and sometimes we. When you have a partnership and you want to tell them there's challenges, don't say, you never listen to me. Say, I'm not sure if we're communicating as much as we could. That's a we. And I would even be cautious about that. But the more you do the you, the more you've judged, and now you're up creek. Because you'll be judged and condemned to a smaller place. Soul level, soul. How is that only in churches? Is it only in meditations? It's as I'm dropping all of my identifications I give the world, I'm reaching into my soul. I'm becoming this thing more and more. You must become your soul before you enter the kingdom. Ye must be as children, Jesus said, before you enter the kingdom. This is the children, meaning not age-wise, it means your innocence, your not having as many formed opinions. Kids don't know. Ask them, what is that? I don't know. And ask, just like be as children, ask questions. But it means ask them of your parents. God, I'm not sure what this is. Mommy, what is that? Daddy, what is that? Ask. That's what you do. Become as children saying, God, I don't know. You can even be honest and say, I think I know. That person's a jerk. Call me silly. Call me ego-based, but it's factual. I can even get, letters from lots of people saying, yep, we all agree they're a jerk. You're still wrong. Because all you did was get your ego to agree with other egos that they are less than God created them to be. I'm not asking you to be delusional and pretend. Isn't that nice? Hitler was just misunderstood. He was really a good guy. I'm not asking you to fake things like that. I'm saying, despite what I think I see, which is, A, B, C, factual, linear world, despite that, how would you have me see it, God? And that's where your mind starts to shift. Your consciousness shifts because you're actually entering a miracle bubble. You're actually entering a time warp, something that is not of this world. Because some people are so rude, and you're saying, despite what I think I see, that they're rude, I want you to show me, God, something profound has to happen because you're shifting from your linear opinions to God's knowingness. That is called a miracle. And it is a miracle. It's a miracle that you would even try this. But it's profound because you're letting go your opinions. Factual things might not change. You might say, wow, I'm going for a walk today and it's really hot. True. But you could still say, how would you have me see the temperature, God? It's not going to be suddenly, in the local newspaper. The weather in one split second went from 103 to a mild 79 degrees. That's probably not going to happen, although it could. What's likely going to happen is it's still 103 and you don't notice it. That's the same with the people that are rude. They might still be rude, but you're different. You're changing. The way you treat them might change the way you speak, but it also might just be the presence you hold in the room. That you don't attack them like other people. You don't fault find the way everybody else did. Maybe that's why they ended up the way they are. Someone needs to bring a difference into the room, into the moment. Here's an example. In the First World War, you had allies like America and France, fighting with Germany and other forces and all this. So there's this First World War, which is an interesting thing because we might look back and think, well, First World War, it's a long time ago. You forget, is it that big of a deal? It's the first time in history that we know where everybody, all the countries, for the most part, were engaging in murder, in mass destruction, chemical warfare, and all kinds of disgusting things, right? Strange. So that's why Mother Mary appeared to these children in Fatima, Portugal, before the wars and said, there's a war coming, and we need to pray that it not come. She wants peace. She's the mother of peace. She wants peace. So she's telling people, careful, careful. Let's make a difference. She warns. She warns about the Second World War. She warns about an eventual Third World War. And she gave these children the layout of what's coming to this world. But that it can be changed. There are some of the predictions she made where she told them, let's work on this. They worked on it. People around the world prayed. Those who believe in the mother. She's not Catholic. Mother Mary is an ascended master that allowed herself to do the will of God. And so she became the embodiment of the archetype called the Divine Mother, which is the Holy Spirit of God. So she became an embodiment of the mother aspect of God. She was a human, but no longer is she human. She became an ascended master. What chakra is that? The heart. She became a master of the heart center. Her immaculate heart, Jesus' immaculate heart, immaculate conception. She gave birth immaculately, which some people don't believe. Why? Why can't you believe in miraculous things? Well, because science says it's biologically, anatomically impossible, blah, blah. Why would you let them be your guide? Do that, and you can't even get over the temperature. You can't get over anything. Because according to them, you need all kinds of medications, which will make you sicker and need more medications. Do you really want them as your guide? Let God be your guide. And God says, when you align with me, anything is possible. Anything, not just getting a raise, anything, because you're starting to step into soul level living. Prosperity doesn't become a human, I point the lower three chakras, a human who learns new tricks for manifestation. Okay? I'm getting the raise at work, I'm getting the raise at work, oh look, man, that's powerful. All it is the power of your lower mind. Oh no, it's God. No, it isn't. God wasn't like, ka-ching, this is great. Chant with me, child of God. Ka-ching, ka-ching. That wasn't God. That was just you manipulating your life again. So you did it in a fancier, new ageier way than you used to. Rob a bank. Now you're more prosperous. No, you're not like them. You're spiritual. So it's more money, more money. All it is lower mind power. Those who tell you, I have reached samadhi. I'm enlightened. I'm one with God. I'm non-dualistic. Liars. No. If you have to tell us how enlightened you are, you're probably not. But I will say this. Some of them truly believe it, and I want to say something about that. Those who say it are really just the solar plexus level chakra. It's about willpower and power. They might have some powers, but it's just, all it is lower mind power. The ego knows how to use the lower mind to manifest things if that's what you'll follow it with. But those who actually truly feel it, truly believe it, not say, but truly feel it, they're not of the solar plexus. They're of the lower half of the heart chakra, where you are, in fact, feeling a sense of oneness. But you're not of this yet, God. So if you say, oh, look at me, I'm one with God, it's a solar plexus thing. Just tell, yeah, it's a solar plexus thing, dude. Back off. No, I've reached samadhi. Yeah, it's a solar plexus thing. They're not going to like hearing that, but that's what it is. Those who truly are it or feel it a bit more are actually at the lower half of the heart chakra initiations. The lower half is where you're working at becoming enlightened. The upper half is where you are. One takes effort and one is effortless. You're still not here. That's why I don't do the guru thing. Because no matter how high I get in this level of consciousness, I'm still always going to be with my arms open asking for this. Not claiming it. Hey, look everyone, I've opened my clown chakra, you know. It's like, no, you know what? I'm just going to stay right here. And Yogananda said the same thing. Yogananda, are you ascending to God? As long as there's one individual here that hasn't come home, I'm coming back to help them home. That's a person who's still in their heart, still feeling love, still feeling compassion, still feeling a sense of oneness with all and wanting to help. Make sense? That doesn't mean you're actually here. To be in a human body and claim not just human mastery, not just heart and soul mastery, but spiritual, total spiritual oneness and still be in a body, let me tell you, man, it doesn't work that way. When you reach this level, every cell bursts into light. You wouldn't be visible. You wouldn't leave tracks in the mud. You wouldn't leave tracks in the snow. And if I kick you in the shins, you won't say, ow. You would just be so far beyond all of that. So I like that humility. I like to say, we can only get ourselves here. God takes the final step. Leave God in the picture. Leave God to have some mystery and some power instead of thinking you're doing it all yourself. Drop a little special chemical of some kind and you see colors. You know, come on. There's glasses you can buy that'll show you colors. I mean, it's a lot less dangerous. So, in that sense, there's this World War battle that was happening. And what's very intriguing is here they are shooting and killing each other, and suddenly a flare shoots up in the sky. That's what they think. And there's this light. And the soldiers are all looking up. We're talking, for example, American soldiers, looking up. Whoa, there's a flare. That means, you know what a flare is going to be. They shoot a light over your head so they can spot you to shoot you. So they're all like, everybody duck. And the flare sits there. And it sits there. And it sits there. And it sits there. And then one after another, the soldiers, they drop their guns. They stand, even though they could be shot standing in a foxhole. They stand and they walk back to their headquarters. They all started dropping their guns and walking back. They were getting arrested and facing the firing squad, hundreds of them, for desertion. Most of them wouldn't speak, and because they knew they would get laughed at, and it's not going to work to tell them. But gradually, they started talking what they saw. What did you see? Some said, I saw the faces of soldiers on the enemy that I killed. Some are saying, I saw Mother Mary. And it was her. She's the one that warned about the war. She was there to show up to say, I'm still here. So in this glorious day, even in battle, soldiers surrendered to the love and light of God, the Divine Mother. They put down their stuff. In other words, I don't want you just not to be at war. I don't want you to hate each other. You're my children. I want you to get along. They put down their arms, they go back, they're going to face the firing squad. And what's amazing is, hour or so before the firing squad, these dozens and dozens of soldiers just in one particular region, by great coincidence, but not, they caught wind that there was the same thing happening to the enemy. They dropped their guns, they walked back, and they were on the firing squad. Then all of a sudden, Red Cross superiors were contacted. Tell everybody, all the soldiers everywhere, all the leaders, stop. Don't do the firing squad. Something happened. So where should we go to find out what happened, guys? Go to science. We believe it was a flare, and an unusual breeze kept the flare suspending for hours. They burn out in minutes. No, it was just a flare and a drift of wind keeping it hovering. The government says it was mass hysteria. Soldiers were just afraid and they were cowards. And so they experienced some sort of mass hysteria to cover up for their cowardice. Why? So I ask you, who was in the state of soul level living? Was it the government? No. Science? No. Military? No. The soldiers who were living it, they were in the trenches, and that's us. In the trenches, we have to call upon our soul that believes in something higher. I understand how weird it feels because one of the downsides of entering the heart, and I am saying that not just the daughters of heaven, but people that are practicing humility are finding themselves, and I think it's fantastic. There's an announcement being made. It goes like this. A message is coming to all of us, those who can hear it, hear. And the message is this. Attention, attention, children of God of all walks of life, whether you believe or not believe, all the children of God, we need to let you know something. Time is coming to an end as we know it. We are moving into a new dimension in the near future. Now, we need a bunch of volunteers to actually go up higher to another level, heart chakra, soul level, living and consciousness, to go to another level. If you trust us, we're going to sift you, so to speak, upward and leave more of the dross and more of the density and stuff of your life behind. Who is ready to do it? So it's the daughters of heaven are part of that group. But do know, become arrogant about it. Yeah, man. Yep, me, I'm soul level now. Yep, I'm just totally a soul level living. Make it a boast and you'll fall hard. So be careful because you'll be worse off than you were when you started. It's a humility. This is not, look at me, I'm so soul level. Then you can start making stuff. What level are you soul level? I'm soul level 3. Oh, I'm soul level 5. Everything's going to be about measuring it. And you know somebody's going to write a book claiming to be able to measure how far up you are on the soul level living consciousness. I'm a soul level 5. I'm a soul, Stop. I am as God created me. I'm a holy being. That's a fact. That's the truth of God. But even in the earth plane, I am learning to live at a higher level. And I'm grateful. Are you a soul level? Whatever. You don't have to announce it to everybody. You can say, I'm learning to live more from my soul. That's true and that's humble. It's not a ego claim. I'm learning to live. There's a humility to that. But God is asking us to get into our hearts. Now, we've heard that before. It's been on bumper stickers, but it didn't mean anything because it was just talk about, oh, we're also heart, Oh, my heart, romantic cards. That's not the heart we're talking about. We're talking about soul level living. Seeing things from a different place, seeing things less judgmentally. You do not go to God because you're not judging as much. You go first to soul level living. This becomes entrenched enough, programmed enough, clear enough, consistent enough that God itself will say, wow, look at you. You really got it, didn't you? Yes, I got it. And God will decide one of two things. I would like you to ascend into me, which might happen. God might also say, hey, listen, I'd like you ready? I'm going to bring you up into complete oneness, which means you're not here anymore. We're not talking about, and you walk around going, oh, look at me. You're gone. You're in God. But there's something else that's more likely going to happen. God's going to say, here come the gates of heaven opening. You hear the angels and you start to lift and it's all this work, man, all this life stuff. It's finally come to this. I get to ascend into God. God's going to go, yes, come on. Then God's going to go, wait, unless you would like to volunteer to. See, and God will play this with you. I'm just asking. That's what'll happen. I'm just asking because, there's 8 billion people that need help, but it's okay. Go ahead and I'm telling you, this is what'll happen. Call me silly, call me needy, but God, am, no, you can come on in. And you know what's going to happen? All right. What would you will? Me? Oh, you're asking? Well, I was going to bring you into heaven, but now that you're asking, And it could be anything from you're going to stay in higher dimensions and you're going to whisper in the ears to people that can relate to you. Cool. Once in a while, it'll be, I've got a absolutely crazy family that you could go and incarnate into. But I'm only looking for volunteers. You don't have to. So when you become ascended in consciousness, you are still capable of helping. It's kind of nice because the downside is when you come in, you could actually get caught in the karmic cycles again, even though you awaken beyond them. When you're in density, it's very different. And now you could get caught. But the good news is there's like a special dispensation. When you come in, when you were already capable of being done here and you still volunteer to come in, you're sort of given a free pass that if you happen to fall, it's erased. But it's erased because of your goodwill, your charitable consciousness. Does that make sense? It sounds strange because it sounds like an exception to the rule, but it really isn't, because you had already reached a state of grace, but you can't ever really lose that. But temporarily, you go into a body and somebody hurts you and you say, ouch, it doesn't mean you're now fallen and you got to go through another 1,000 incarnations. Your own having reached enlightenment will wipe away those tears, those issues. Make sense? So much more I could say about all this, but soul level living, man, it's so beautiful. This isn't just an advice. This isn't a talk from 50 years ago where we talk about how great it would be if we could get to higher levels. Guys, it's happening now. We're not talking about it. We're not kind of like this, gradually growing from root consciousness, navel consciousness. That's not what's happening. Spirit is saying, I need a bunch of people to go all the way up to the heart. Well, yeah, but I'm just a root chakra person. Doesn't matter. Are you ready? Would you like to go to the heart? It will mean fast tracking, and it will mean having to purge away your human stuff. You can't pretend it's not there. It's just that it'll fast track. You're going to have to deal with stuff more intensely and more quickly. But the good news is you're heading here, if that is what you're committed to doing. What would you have me do, Divine Mother? What would you have me do, Holy Spirit? Guide me. My every thought, word, and deed. Guide me. Something very phenomenal, miraculous, beautiful is happening. Never before has this been offered, where the doors open into the soul level consciousness, and we can run for that. Still have to work our stuff, but you get to go there instead of another 1,000 years, 100,000 years of gradual evolution. Is that making sense? It's no longer going to be this, it's this. We're going here. Halfway home. Where now it would have been lengthy and tedious and karma, blah, blah, blah. Now it's getting to it, you know what, karma, goodbye. Reincarnation, unnecessary. If I choose to do it, fine. I'll ride along for the ride, but that's it. I'm going somewhere. So those of you choosing that, amazing where we're going. It's amazing. Daughters of Heaven, however, as a little side note, it's mandatory. For other people, other light workers, it's, would you like to, Daughters of Heaven, it's essential. If you call yourself a child of God, daughter of heaven, be prepared. You're going to this place, and we're all going to be residing, living from, standing in a level of consciousness that was different from where we were. Please take a few centering breaths. Breathe in what you heard that resonated. Anything that didn't resonate, why even bother? Just let it go. Don't obsess on what you didn't resonate with. Just let that go. Breathe in appreciatively. What did feel right for you? It isn't my telling you, it's yours. You have to own that. That's one of the best ways to go quantum leaps into our spiritual growth. Stop hearing it as someone told you or you read it. It is. Speak it as a truth. If it felt true, let it be true. Wow, I get it. Wow. Have those kinds of thoughts and observations. In your mind's eye, imagine 3 scenes, like your maybe game show, door number 1, 2, 3, but 3 scenes, 1 to the left, 1 to the right, 1 in the middle. Let each of these be absolute goals of your life. One of them could be the perfect partnership. One of them could be your perfect scene of your financial abundance. One of them could be family, a healed, loving family. It could be career. It could be just walking the earth at a total level of peace. 3 different scenes of your ultimate life. Picture that. Make them as vivid as possible. As vivid as possible. This is where you're going. You're going to attain these 3 things in all likelihood. But we're not there yet. So we're calling upon the Holy Spirit of God to place in front of these scenes the image of a person that stands in the way of my achieving that. She knows best. Is it a person that symbolizes a race, a gender, a group, a thought system, a religion, your past lives, your childhood, a wounding, hurtful person? Which one stands before the one on the left? Who stands blocking your scene to the left and then to the right and to the middle? Let that come to mind. Let the Holy Spirit help you see who that is. And then ask yourself this question. Do I want that person to be large enough in my life, effective enough in my life, present enough in my life to stand and block my entrance to that room, that scene? Some of them you might say, I'm not letting that one go yet. That's okay. Just own it. I'm not there yet. I'll get there later. But look at them. Are you willing to reduce the size of that person to where they can't stand between you and that scene? Can you stop talking about them so much, thinking about them so much, having nightmares about them so much, believing that they are the ones that ruined your life? Is it your parents that had genetics? Is it your color? Your gender? Your religion, whatever. You're asking yourself now, not did it happen or not happen what they did or said. You're asking, do I want to let that be big enough to block my greater good? Be honest. And if the answer is, you know what? No, I don't think so. Let the size of that being start shrinking. You're not minimizing them. You're not deleting them from existence. You're reducing their ability to block your greater good. They simply represented an old wound, an old pattern, an old belief system. Reduce and reduce. Just breathe out, just reducing the power, the size, the magnitude. hear words like this that your soul is saying to them. I'm sharing my feelings with you about our various experiences or what you symbolized to me. On a human level, these things felt hurtful and they did upset me. But today I'm realizing more than ever that holding you in this position of keeping me from my greater good is actually hurting me far more than it's affecting you. On a human level, whatever happened, happened. But on a deeper spiritual level, I'm realizing today it's impossible for you to have any power over me because the outer you doesn't really exist. We're all one on a soul level. I'm releasing you and I'm releasing myself. Whatever drew you into my life as an actor on my stage, I don't need you to play the role anymore because I don't want to be in that scene. I don't want to be in that particular movie. Enough is enough. I bid you farewell. Let their image fade completely. If you can. And what's left between you and that scene are little sparkles of beautiful opalescent light. Just like a little hovering yet showering beautiful image of sparkles of light. Breathe those in. Those that would still stand between you and your scene are now just fairy dust. Breathe them in. Breathe them into your heart and soul. The soul of that person is now merging with your heart and soul. Place a hand or two over your heart and be grateful. Oh my God, that thing that once stood in the way is blessed and gone and is now light and it's breathing into my soul, my heart. Nothing now stands between me and the scene. For the next half a minute, own that and walk into each of the scenes and breathe their essence in. Walk into your prosperity scene and dance with delight. It is you. You're in it and it is in you. This is mine. I got it. Breathe it in. Each of those three scenes as best you can. Just see yourself twirling or standing and, oh my God, the glory of God, the glory of my goodness. It's a miracle now. There's nothing between me and my good because I am my good. I am as God created me. I'm healthy. I'm whole. I'm alive. This scene, this doorway I walked through that's no longer blocked, it's my happiness or my abundance or whatever else. Breathe it in. Success. It could be a project or whatever that you're engaged in. Breathe it in. It's already done. It's complete. It's good. It's you. It's not a thing you're hoping to get to. You're breathing it in. It is you. You're already there. So you can't not see it and experience it. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Divine Mother. Thank you for whoever you showed into my mind. It must have been relevant on some level that they needed some healing with me and me with them. I give thanks for all of this. Thank you, thank you, thank you that I'm stepping into and breathing in and achieving what I thought was a distant dream. And in your own way, in your own words, quietly give thanks. Continue to give thanks the rest of the way. Give thanks for the experience. Give thanks that this is yours. Give thanks for the person that popped in. You're not thanking hurtful behavior. You're thanking the reality, the souls, that it was no accident that there was healing needed, and you got it. Give thanks. Give thanks to yourself for having the courage to do the work. And gradually reintegrate into the room. Good. Stretch out a little bit. Well done. How'd we do? Good, good. What did you hear in today's talk that made the most sense? We're going to do our closing prayer in a moment. Some of the volunteers are getting baskets for our donations, but what did you hear that made the most sense? Yes?
What I am loving is that once I'm here, I get it more and more and more.
Nice. Every time you're here, you're getting this more and more. Isn't that great? Amen, man. Congrats. Thank you. Yes?
To remind myself to always live in love, in the heart. When I fly,
Yeah.
you're right back to center.
To live in a state of love in the heart. Remember, this is not a talk like a new agey, hey man, we all have to get into our hearts. That's not what you just heard. And you're like, oh wow, that was so beautiful. That's not what you just heard. I'm telling you, there's something happening in the world where several people are being taken into their hearts to start soul level living, preparing Eden for population, to be populated. This is happening. God is real. Yeah. And the people that say God isn't, they're the ones that aren't real. That's why they have to talk it so much that God isn't, because they're fighting the fact that they know they're not. Their little belief systems and trips or whatever. Yes?
When you were talking about soldiers,
The soldiers.
soldiers in the country,
Mhm.
their vision, and it took me straight to when my dad was dying and my mum couldn't be there.
Oh.
She was on FaceTime during the pandemic, and I was on FaceTime as well. But she was saying to him, gently, gently, because he found it very difficult to breathe through his life, and he found it difficult to die. And my mum, it moved me to the core.
Wow.
Saying, gently, gently.
Wow.
But the thing is I felt that there. What I love about what you do, Michael, is you take us in this like whirlwind of fun, then it's just all gentle. A relief.
So there's a whirlwind of activity when we're doing these things, and yet there's a gentleness to it.
And that's for me what is real.
Yeah.
That's the reality. It's our trajectories.
Right.
They're like the nonsense. That's what we calm. Help others calm. But just to be gentle, beginning with ourselves.
Right. Thank you. Last night when I was walking around, doing some things, and then probably I think maybe getting ready for bed, I was talking to Jesus, and I was saying, something along the lines of, I'm just so grateful of what we're sharing at the center and so on. I just feel like I feel so grateful. But one of the things I shared, if I recall correctly, was along the lines of, I'm aware of what you're doing. I know you're up to something. And I know that you're not having me talk at a group. We are processing and going somewhere. And I know that, so I was giving thanks that we're having such a deep experience. And that's how I've always felt as a teacher 30, 40 years ago. But when I was doing it, I know that back then, especially when I was in my 20s, I still felt a little insecure because I see these things, but I don't hear other people getting it. So it felt weird, which I'm saying to everybody, you start the soul level living, you're going to feel a little outsider-ish if you don't already. I mean, because the world doesn't really hold that container of that. So in my 20s, I was still a kid in a sense, and I was still, like, really? Like, how far do we take this? And it wasn't time, and I wasn't matured enough. Even though what I was teaching was similar, I mean, God and Christ and conscience and mastery, I was still on all these topics. But the human me wasn't as integrated into what I was teaching because I'm a kid. I came out of a totally screwed up family. And, and so I was like, well, what do I do with all this profound stuff when in fact I feel still broken in a way? So what has to happen is Michael, keep talking it, working it, and keep healing. And the two do this. They weave together, and then you become all of those teachings, those words. So in my 30s, it was more integrated. Still words of mastery, Jesus Christ, Holy Spirit, but it was integrated. And I had gone through the dark night of the soul, which also helps to integrate what you've studied. You become it. So that, by the time I was 30, it was like landing. But there were still human things about post-marriage, post-divorce, and all that I still had to walk through and get all that integrated. Figuring out, am I ever going to date, and what's that going to look like, and where, and, because the human part's going, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just, God and oneness, and yeah, but go dance or do something else too, So in the 90s, there was a little bit of that awkwardness, because I got married as a kid, so I never really did much, with the outer world. So integrating not just me healing in my 20s, now healing with the world when I was in my 30s, So it became more and more integrated. So by the time in my 40s, it was really coming together. And still there were some odd and funny little quirks about it. I'm saying this for all of us. And then you reach whatever else, your 50s, your 60s, whatever. But you become more and more integrated. If you're really doing this well, you become it. You can't just keep talking about it. I mean, you become it if you live this. So I see these things so beautifully and so clearly, and yet I'm very clear. I'm a guide to the guide. I do not stand around at all thinking, come to me. It's like, I know what I'm doing, and I know what I'm saying. And it's not about me. It's about, let me tell you about the guide that you should plug into. This thing you do is not taking you home. Whether it's a drug, a hallucinogenic, a relationship, a drink, it's not taking you home. I'm not going to judge you for it. We'll talk about it and we'll laugh about it. But I will also talk about the guide, the Divine Mother. Jesus went to her. Why wouldn't I? Well, you know what I mean? Like that's pretty big kudos, Go to the Divine Mother, Jesus, the quote. Like the Divine Mother's got some good PR. Well, I mean, Jesus recommended me. Like, wow. Shiva, I'll give it a 6 thumbs up. Anyway. Please take your donations. Be as generous as you can be. Be as generous as you could be. Your donations you can do online or here. The bags, the purple bags, those are for your generous donations. Do what you can and give wholeheartedly, not just financially, wholeheartedly. I'd rather you give, $10 from a place of total love than $100 with some feeling of obligation. Do what you can, and the baskets are for any extra donations, people of lesser means or special projects and so on, all right? So take your love offering, hold it to your heart. We do the prosperity blessings. Together, please. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and so it is. Thank you. I hope today's talk addressed also the things you asked about. Peace as the goal, unified, embodying the Father or Mother God, and so on. I pray that it made good sense and takes us closer to answers on those areas. One person also asked from last week, there's a post-it here, about concepts like even like, what is white magic? Is there, guys, anything of the outside can only give you of the outside. But in its purest sense, white magic means using love-based consciousness. I don't care if you have a wand in your hand or it's just in your mind. White magic just means love. Love enacted in some practice, discipline, ceremony, or whatever. Black is just fear-based. That's all. Black magic is just fear-based. It can be hateful. It can be projecting negative thoughts towards individuals or groups or whatever. But really, there is no other, so where's that thought form going to go but back to yourself? There is but God. Please stand for our closing prayer. Before we do the prayer, how did you do with the meditation? Did you succeed? Did you get it? And right on. Please understand, consciousness comes before manifestation. So these meditations that come to me as I'm doing them, these things are not random. They're not like just, isn't that nice? This is consciousness working, right? And yet it's like a workshop or a healing. It's like months of counseling work in one moment of work. And it's just part of what we do because we want to do everything the highest we can. But this is consciousness changing. So if you allowed yourself to reduce the person, it also means reducing their power they had over you. Now you can walk into that or this different part of your new life. Consciousness comes before manifestation. If in consciousness you reduced and dissipated the seeming power someone had that showed up in your visualization or meditation, it has to work. It's going to make a difference. Gratitude, gratitude. This looks like a person on a stage talking and sharing and guiding, because that's the imagery we're used to. But what's really happening is that we're all experiencing a process. The Christ in us all, two or more gathered, with humility and dedication to being daughters of heaven or children of God. And in that, we're all being raised. There's a powerful presence that's taking us home. But we're asked to anchor that presence and be that presence for others who are not yet ready and can be. Our brothers and sisters that are sleeping, and we're acting sometimes simply as alarms. Gentle, loving alarms. It's time to go home. Can you hear it? Can you hear that voice, brothers and sisters? You say to all beings on the planet, it says, I love you, come home. And I'm doing my best to be that presence. It loves us, come home, God says. The light of God surrounds us.
We are the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
We are the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
We are the power of God.
The presence of God watches over us.
We are the presence of God.
Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. Peace be with you all. Thanks.